All right, here we go. All right, hey everybody, how's everybody doing tonight? Thank you for joining me on a good Friday night. Hopefully everybody out there is good. As always, I like to start off my videos by saying, I want to thank everybody out there, the ones that are working right now during these crazy times. The nurses, essential workers, just everybody out there working right now, trying to make this place better and trying to make the world a better place. And hopefully everybody's safe out there, the ones that are working, and you guys are just, trying to make the best out of this whole situation right now, depending on what state you're in. And hopefully everything just goes back to normal soon. And then for the people that are quarantined, hopefully you guys are, keeping your body fresh, your mind sharp. You guys are trying to do anything you can to, keep distracting yourselves from the craziness that is called the world right now that's going on. And, hopefully, as like I said, hopefully everything goes back to normal soon, and hopefully we just go back to living normal lives. And I'm pretty sure that's what we all want. So just keep the prayers up, keep the hope alive, and everything go back to normal soon. So today, I promised you guys a video yesterday about the NFL Roundup, because starting next week, hopefully, training camps open and teams are going to come back, so hopefully sooner or later, we'll see what happens, but this is the last week before training camp, and we'll see how it goes. So I do want to start off with a couple topics here that are going to be a little controversial, a little bit, just very some uncomfortable, topics, but it did happen, and it wouldn't be my it wouldn't do due diligence if I didn't get into it, because a few videos back we did make video about the whole Drew Brees thing. So now we're gonna have to, I play it fair here. So let's just get right into it. Anybody that knows right now, social media is a very powerful weapon that can be used for good, and it could unfortunately just paint a very bad picture of the person. In this instance, we are talking about Deshaun Jackson, who did take to Twitter, and he did put a quote up that was attributed, to Hitler in a sense. I mentioned, hate is hate, no matter what you want to call it, no matter what it is. Hate is hate all around. And I understand he did apologize for the tweet, but that still doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right for any one group. Hate is hate, and people do people see that, as popular as he is, it's kind of a thing where he should have thought about it better. Unfortunately, he didn't. And here we are that we're going to talk about it. And I can't reread the tweet because, or what he posted, because it kind of involves some bad language, and I don't want to get kicked out or tagged or anything like that. Just know that it was very disturbing quotes. It was very disturbing, calling out a single group. It was all disturbing, and I hope he did learn his lesson. Hopefully, he is learning his lesson, and he doesn't. As I mentioned videos in the past, nobody has a right to speak on anybody's behalf. All that with him, Drew, these last couple months, it's just nobody has a right to speak on anybody's behalf unless you've been down that path. With that being said, though, I am a little disappointed as far as some of the critics out there saying, he shouldn't play again. And it went both ways. It goes both ways with, Deshaun to Drew to everybody. It goes both ways. But, before, people want to make this rash decision that, hey, the Eagles should have just cut him. They should, just cut ties now. I want people to understand something. The NFL is a very weird thing that even though he did say this, unfortunately, the thing that kind of kills it is that talent kind of overrides what you do as a person. If you have good enough talent, you can still play. And what do I mean by that is, everybody wants to crucify this man, saying, he put out this tweet, he should be released, he should never play in the NFL again. I'm just going to give a couple of examples of why, he should still play and why, he is allowed to play. So, it's been a minute now, but if anybody remembers Riley Cooper, he was a former wide receiver. And, ironically, he was a wide receiver for, the Eagles. And he went to a concert and he blatantly used the N word. He blatantly used the N word. He apologized for it. People again crucifying this man to never play in the NFL again, because how can this man say that word when his teammates, half of his teammates are African American? And what do the Eagles do? They give him an extension. So he was still allowed to play. So that's, to me, hate is hate no matter what you want to call it. So for me, if Riley Cooper can say the N word and, Deshaun Jackson can tweet what he tweeted, Deshaun could still play. And I know people are going to watch this video and they're going to be like, well, it's a totally two different things. Okay, well, let's get into recent things. Jake Fromm, the drafted quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, whatever you tweet, it could come back to bite you in the butt. And he made some racial tweets when he was in high school and a little bit of his college days, but he still got drafted. He was still allowed to play. He's still allowed to play football. So again, hate is hate. And, when you say that, it just kind of, I don't need to know any more about you than what I already know. If this is what you tweet and this is what you think, then if this is what you say in public, then, keep the same energy. That's fine with me. It's just now we just know your true colors. And if some people like that, then fine. Me as a fan, I'm not a big fan of it. Just, not for me. A lot of people are now going to say, well, he was young and stupid. Okay, well, let's go to a guy who was, a little bit older. We're going back to, of course, Drew Brees. And, some people are going to put in this, well, he has a right to an opinion. Okay, yeah, that might be true. But at the same time, as I mentioned, he doesn't speak, when he made those comments, he doesn't speak for everybody that did serve under the military. He doesn't speak for everybody. And again, if you want that, the library's there. You can go back. It was a few episodes ago. The only thing I can say about it is, yes, he does have a right to an opinion. However, his opinion does have consequences where, yes, him getting crucified, was kind of, it wasn't justable, but it was a wake up call for him saying, hey, you clearly didn't understand the message, you know, behind the whole kneeling and everything. So, he can say he's sorry, and that's fine with me, but it's going to take a lot more than that for kind of people to believe him again, I believe. Yeah, he's, going to be throwing touchdowns and he's going to be a legend. That's great and all. But as I mentioned earlier, as long as you still have the talent, you're still going to play no matter what you do. That's kind of the thing. So another example was Nick Bosa, the defensive end from the San Francisco 49ers. He has tweeted some pretty controversial stuff, as far from Barack Obama to a Kobe Bryant tweet that he later deleted, and it was him. It was, pretty much a tweet of the Grim Reaper playing in those, those machines, you put a quarter in, it's a claw, and you try to get whatever it is inside the machine. Well, the Grim Reaper was like, oh man, I got a Kobe Bryant, so, but then he deleted it only due to the fact that now people know who you are. So for me, it's kind of, people will always say, well, he has a right to an opinion. Again, you're right. He does have a right to an opinion. However, if you're going to make an opinion, you have to be prepared for those consequences and for remarks that you're going to receive your way, which is why I find it easier. Just be nice to everybody, even the ones that don't deserve it, because the ones that don't deserve it just need a little extra love because I guess mom and dad didn't love them that much, whatever the case may be. So Justin Rauhauser, the fifth round pick from the New England Patriots, the kicker, he had a controversial tattoo. He removed it. The tattoo was kind of one of those, 1%ers, 3%er tattoos, kind of bad people group tattoos. And, the excuse I heard was, well, he was young and didn't know. Well, you're going to have to convince a lot of people that you're young and didn't know. You didn't know that that was a bad group. That's kind of like me getting an MS-13 tattoo on my throat and then removing it because I didn't know that was a bad group. Like, come on, get real. Again, hate is hate no matter any shape or form, whether it's verbal, physical, just anything. And my only message to that is, you can tweet whatever you want, you can put whatever you want on social media because that's your life. However, if you're going to put something on there, and it is your opinion, but you better be prepared and not throw a fit when remarks come back to you, as far as just people throwing stuff your way. And the last thing about this thing before we move on to the next topic, look, Deshaun Jackson, whether I don't know what his purpose was in tweeting that, but all I know from it is that he deserves every bit of bad remarks, and I hope that he does take Julian Edelman's advice and he does talk to him and understand where they're both coming from. And hopefully they both understand that they're both coming from different parts of the world. They're both coming from different. What's sad is they're both American, but they feel like they're both in different worlds, which is kind of a sad reality when you kind of think about it. Like, we should all be considered Americans and we should all be free. It's just, and we are, and we are that. It just feels like hearing those two talk to each other and hearing what they have to say. It's a sad reality that we're all American, but it feels like everybody, like those two, are part of different worlds. And I hope they learn from each other and hopefully they can maybe keep moving forward with this, progressing with this. And hopefully Deshaun learned, and I'm sure as everybody else learned, just be careful what you do out there because people will see it now. So that's the end of it. Let me know what you guys think about the Deshaun thing, and hopefully we can pick up a conversation another time about this. So the next thing we got to talk about Washington. That's been a fun little thing lately. From what we all know now, the Washington football team, they're gonna change their name. I know people are kind of assuming, why am I not saying the old name? The thing is, it's because it's very, very offensive to Native Americans, and as a kid, I didn't really understand that. As a kid, it was that team's name, but then as I got older, I realized that name is pretty offensive to Native Americans, and that it should have never been in place to begin with. So I am happy about this team name change. They're finally gonna start little by little, creating the wrongs, or just kind of cleaning up the wrongs, not creating, but cleaning up the wrongs in this league. And hopefully, this team name comes out soon because they're gonna have to do a lot of switching around from team name. They're gonna keep the colors, logos are gonna change. I think Madden 21 already said that they're not gonna add the former team's name on the video game, which was kind of a kind of a big shocker knowing the fact that so late in the process that the game's going to be released in a month that they're gonna take the name off. And I think it's great. I think it's great that finally the NFL is listening. It is listening to names like this, and hopefully they can start cleaning up the wrong around the league. And sticking with the Redskins, today they did get filed for a case for sexual harassment. 15 women have come forward about sexual misconduct and sexual harassment in the workplace. For me, it's kind of disheartening to hear this because after this whole thing with, Vanessa Guillen and a bunch of others, and now it's, here, um, nobody, and especially women in any workplace, no matter the workplace, whether it's, working for the NFL, in the military, school districts, whatever it may be, nobody, especially women, should ever have to go through sexual harassment at the workplace. It's a terrible thing. It's a sleazy thing. It's a terrible thing. Um, it's 2020, and we still, can't. Some companies, some people still can't view women as equals, just sexual objects, and that's disturbing. And the case involving the Washington team, it's pretty disheartening knowing what they came forward with from you know nude photo shoots that weren't permitted, uh, drug parties, coaching staff and players sleeping around with the same woman. It's disturbing to think that it happens still in the year 2020. This still happens, and it's disgusting. It's terrible, and hopefully something happens out of this. I am for one to where I am at the point now where Dan Snyder should sell the team. I think Dan Snyder should sell the Washington team to hopefully somebody that is family oriented. I understand Dan's purpose. He loved the team when he was a kid. He bought the team because it was his childhood dream. However, it's just time. It's time. He has done nothing but made that franchise into a joke. And uh, for anybody that watches the NBA, Dan Snyder is like the James Dolan of the NBA. Nobody wants to go there. Nobody wants to play for them. If you get drafted there, the joke is, there's certain franchises you get drafted to, and the joke is if you get drafted by this franchise, your career is over before it even begins. And I'm starting to see where it's starting to fall in place where it was just terrible. It's just terrible to think that some of these 15 women had to go through, it's terrible that they each did their part, but nothing was made out of it until today. Until today, this case was finally filed. It's disturbing, it's sickening, and I hope this case goes through, and I hope the women on all of them get justice, and hopefully, if Dan Snyder should ever watch this, sell the team. You're just a disgrace to the Shield, and you just sell the team. There's no other way around it. Just sell, and we can just move on, forget about you. But we'll see what happens. I don't. As far as the team name goes, I am happy they are going to change it. I don't know what they're going to change it to. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes. I mean, some smart man decided to trademark 44 team names, so now it's going to be hard for them to get a name. But we'll see. We'll see, and I hope they come with something through, because unless they're just going to be called the Washington football team, bummer. But I am glad about this change. But Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the whole Washington dilemma. Should Dan Snyder sell the team? What should the team name be? And please keep it professional. Don't give me anything terrible. Be serious, all right? Be adults. And should Dan sell the team? So, as I mentioned earlier, training camp's a week away, and the deadline for trying to get a contract if you were tagged is over, and there are still quite a few players out there that are still tagged and they will play under the tag. And I'm about to give a list right now and who I think should deserve a long term and who is probably going to get tagged again. So we're going to start off with Shaquille Barrett, the linebacker of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, his name's kind of a hot name now, but he was undrafted, went to Denver for his first 4 years, came to Tampa Bay and lit it up. He lit it up. He led the league last year with 19 and a half sacks. Pay the man. This man deserves a long term contract. He is going to be a very great person. He is a perfect fit for that Towered Balls, defensive system up in Tampa Bay. I think he's the perfect player for that system. He's the pass rusher for the Buccaneers defense, and if he blows up again, he might not get 19 and a half. I think now people are going to take notice of his name, so his numbers might drop a little bit. But if he's still productive enough, he should get a long-term deal. I think right now Shaquille Barrett should get a long-term deal. Kenyon Drake, running back of the Cardinals. So he started in Miami, but midway he got traded to Arizona, and now he is the starting running back for Arizona. Had 102 yards scrimmage a game. Give him a long term. I think he deserves a long term, but give him something kind of low. And if whatever happens, barring injury or just whatever the case may be, you can get out of it. No cap penalty, but he does deserve a long term. He is a player that is going to fit perfect for that Arizona system. Now, Kyler Murray is going to be in his second year. They now have DeAndre Hopkins. The offensive line's a little better. It could be, it's a growing process, but now they got Christian Kirk on one end, DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald. So that's your 1, 2, 3. They got a Kenyon Drake who is feasible at the running game and in the passing game. So now Arizona's offense should take the next step forward. It's just, how does Kyler Murray, you know, make a jump from year one to year two? I think he deserves a long term, though, as far as Kenyon Drake goes. But something low minimum to where if it's just not working out, you can get out of it. No cap penalty, whatever the case may be, very minimal cap penalty, and just go from there. Next up, Bud Dupree, the linebacker for the Steelers. No, I think if you're going to do this, you got to give him another tag or just let him walk and see what other team wants him. This was his best year last year, and it's all thanks to because of TJ Watt, who got all the attention, and Bud Dupree got, the matchups he wanted. I don't think it's in his good interest right now because if a team is drafting pass rushers in the second round, when they already have you and TJ, one of you is going to go, and it's not the guy they just drafted a couple seasons ago, in the first round. So I don't think he's going to get tagged. Even if he has another great, promising season, I think getting tagged again will be probably just a bit too much. And now they do have to start thinking about TJ Watt's, money about the future, Minka Fitzpatrick, a bunch of these guys that they have to re-sign before they get to Bud Dupree. So I don't think he comes back as a Steeler next year. This was kind of a surprising one. AJ Green, the wide receiver of the Bengals, he's set to make $18 million, and that's not bad for a guy who's missed 23 games the last 2 years. So roughly 12 games each year. The only reason for this is they needed a veteran to help Joe Burrow. They needed a wide receiver veteran to help Joe Burrow, and Well, this is it. They drafted T. Higgins in the second round, so no shocker there. I don't think this will probably be AJ Green's last year as a Bengal. Whether he kills it or whether it's just another same thing, riddled injury. This is it. This is it for AJ Green as the Cincinnati Bengal. And as I mentioned, I would love to talk to him about stats, but he missed 24 games the last 2 years, so there's really nothing to base it upon. Just other than, hey, you're just going to mentor this kid for a year and just go from there. Anthony Harris, safety out of Minnesota. Now, he led the league last year in interceptions with 6. Um, I think he is going to get a long term there. As long as Mike Zimmer is the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, defensive players seem to get the favor in getting a long term deal done more than offensive players. It's just how it works. I don't know how, but it's just Mike Zimmer's defensive attitude, and that's what it is. So Anthony Harris is going to get a long term deal in Minnesota. It's just going to be a minute. Here we go on to the next guy, Hunter Henry, the tight end for the Los Angeles Chargers. He had a bounce back year. 2019 he was, or I'm sorry, 2018 he was. His season was cut short due to a knee torn to the ACL, MCL, but he had a bounce back year after 1 year off of football, 55 receptions, 652 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Now, I know that's not crazy numbers, but it's actually a bargain at the tight end position. I think he is going to get a long term done. And I think the same thing as Kenyon Drake, just try to give him the money most as you can. And if he just gets hurt or he's not producing after 2-3 years, you can just let him go. And that's it. No cap hit, no nothing. So I think I think he stays as a Charger next year. I don't think he's going anywhere. Matthew Judon, the linebacker for Baltimore. He was the team leader in sacks with 9.5. Now, it wasn't surprising that they did put the tag on Judon, only due to the fact that last year, Zadarius Smith, C.J. Mosley, they all left to different teams. So their linebacking core was getting depleted pretty fast. Well, they have to keep somebody. So Matthew Judon stays for one more year. I think out of the due to I think what it is going to be urgency of that linebacking core. He is going to get a long-term deal done. And I think they probably will overpay just a little bit just to keep him happy and just to have him around. So I don't think it's a bad deal. I don't think that it's all that bad that he's going to get a long-term deal. He deserves the long-term, and we'll see how this goes for Baltimore here. All right, next, Yannick Ngakoue, the defensive end out of Jacksonville. So he's been in the league for 4 years. He's 38 sacks, which is roughly almost close to 10 sacks a year since he entered the league. Now, this guy is a great pass rusher. He deserves pass rusher money. He deserves, Khalil Mack, Myles Garrett type of money. Maybe just a little bit lower, but he deserves pass rushing money. The problem is Jacksonville's not going to give it to him. So what it is because Jacksonville is in this whole field of rebuild, and he knows that. That's why he's outspoken, and he did get on Twitter. He did beef with the owner's son back and forth, and eventually it's going to come down to who's willing to pay the price. And this is one of those cases where I wish the tag didn't exist because, as I mentioned before, and people that do know me and always comment on it, I hate the franchise tag. I hate it. I hate how the NFL puts the tag out there. I'm always one of those that believes, hey, if you're not going to pay them, let somebody else pay them. Don't waste their year and then just, hey, down the road, they get nothing out of it. I think if somebody really did represent the Players Association better and better, the tag would be the first thing I would always ask to go. That would always be the best thing for the players, for the tag to leave and, just see how it goes. And, if you're not going to pay them, let somebody else pay them. And while they're still young. And that's the thing. I know it sounds crazy because then we're gonna go get into like, oh, well, it's gonna be like the NBA and the MLB. Well, the thing is, those two other leagues, they have salary caps, but they're really not salary caps. The NFL is one of the real leagues out there that does have a salary cap. They do have a salary cap, and I don't think it would create any drama other than, hey, he's just going to go to a team that's going to give him the most money, and that's about it. So, for me, he's going to get a long-term deal. It's just not going to be in Jacksonville. It is not going to be in Jacksonville. Moving on to the next guy, Brandon Sheriff, the guard out of Washington. He's going to get paid. He's a guard, but he's going to get paid left tackle money. Again, I don't know how that makes sense, but that's just what it is. That's what it is. He is the best offensive lineman for that team right now, and he's going to get paid left tackle money while playing guard. So kudos to him. If I'm him, I would really try to get out of Washington. I'm just not going to deal with it. And, Trent Williams got out of it. We'll see what happens with him, but I don't think he stays in Washington for that long. Justin Simmons, the safety for the Denver Broncos, he's going to get a long term done. He is arguably a top 10 safety in this league. I don't know where I would put him, but he's a top 10 for sure. He's going to get a long term deal with the Broncos. It's just going to come down to cap and, hey, how many years and what's the guarantee? I think that's the only thing that's holding the Denver Broncos and Justin Simmons apart. It's just, how long do you want to stay and what's the guarantee? One of the last ones, or three more. Joe Thuney, the guard for the Patriots. Now this was kind of weird because usually Belichick doesn't really keep offensive linemen. As we've seen a few years back, Nate Solder left to the Giants. Last year, Trent Brown left to the Raiders. And, they each got their excessive amount of money that they got. Joey Thuney was actually tagged by Bill Belichick. Now, this was kind of strange because he usually just lets him go. He's a team builder, so he always reloads. So it was kind of surprising to see what happened there, how Joey Thuney is now. But again, he's going to get paid left tackle money too. It's just what it is. I don't know how the tag works in that instance for guards, but it's just what it is. So kudos to him. I think he does get a long-term deal done with the Patriots, and he will remain a Patriot. It's just, again, I think it's the same thing with Simmons. What's the guarantee and how many years? Leonard Williams, defensive tackle for the Giants now. He did get traded from the Jets to the Giants, and Leonard Williams is a really good defensive tackle. The problem with him is it's hard to break out that type of big money when you do everything so right. But when you were brought into the league, you were brought in as a pass rushing specialist, and you have yet to show that. So it's hard. Like, hey, they'll pay you because you're an excellent run stopper, and you plug up holes in the middle. That's great. But as far as sacks, it's really not showing. So this is going to be his last year with the Giants. If he doesn't show something, he will hit the market next year. I don't think they'll pay him back to back, especially with that type of tag that's there. And last but not least, Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, some Cowboy fans are about to be very, very upset or very happy, depending on how you want to look at it. Dak Prescott is asking for a number. Last thing I heard was 40 million. He is not worth 40 million. Okay, he is not worth 40 million. Now he is worth something because he did do something great with the offense last year. He's got a great receiver. He's got a great online. He's got a great running back. Well, that's the thing. When he came into the league, he had all that. He never had to worry about, oh, who's my running back? Well, you had Zeke as a rookie. You both came in at the same time. Then down the road, you got Amari Cooper. Now they drafted CeeDee Lamb. You got a great offensive lineman. Your center is going to be up for question because Travis Frederick retired. But when you still have Pro Bowlers in almost every offensive line position, You got a young developing tight end who's gonna probably make a name for himself this upcoming year. And your defense, as long as they stay healthy, they're a great defense, and your guys are looking like Super Bowl champions on paper. However, 40 million is not the number I'm thinking for Dak. The number I'm thinking for Dak is, and I hate to do this because I'm not one to put, my hands in other people's pockets. But right now, if you were to look at me, I would say 28 million. 28 million is the farthest I would ever go with Dak. Look, I've never seen Dak play with no help, no Zeke. Well, we have, and they missed the playoffs. But I've never seen him play under okay offensive line, somewhat okay weapons. Now he's got weapons and everything. So I think for me, the most I would go is 28. We'll see how this goes. And it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this plays out with Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott's agent. The most I would go is 28. I don't know about Cowboy fans, how they feel about that. Some fans do believe he's worth 40 million. Okay, that's great. I don't see it. You're not going to sit here and tell me he's, worth Patrick Mahomes' money. I'll tell you that much, because he ain't. He's not worth Patrick Mahomes' money. I'll tell you that, and we'll get into that later. But here are some players that did get extended. They were tagged, but now they are extended. They hit the deadline as of a couple days ago. Number one, King Henry, or otherwise known as Derrick Henry, who was the leading rusher last year. 4-year, 50 million. I think that's great. A lot of people see that as, undervalued, but I think that's great because he is limited in the passing game. He knows how to pass block, but as far as catching, he's okay on that aspect, but you really want him to be the runner. You really want him to run, and I think 4-year, 50 million is a great, contract number for Derrick Henry. 25.5 million guaranteed. That's great. Chris Jones, who I have advocated, who he should get paid. I don't know why it's taking this long. Somebody's going to pay him. Well, the Chiefs finally did it. 4-year, 85 million. Listen, he's the best defensive player on that defense, and there is numbers to prove that. There's numbers to prove that there's a huge difference on the defense when he's on the field and when he's off the field. So for me, I think this is great for Chris Jones that he finally gets his money, and that he just, he finally gets paid what he deserves, and I'm happy for him. It sucks that he stayed with the Chiefs, so now we got to deal with his ass as a Raider fan for the next 4 years, but it happens. The next on the list is Myles Garrett. He got his deal, 5-year, 125 million. He is now the highest non-paid quarterback in the NFL. He got the most guaranteed. He's got a great base salary now. Myles Garrett deserves this money. He deserves it. I know a lot of people are still bitter as far as, he's a criminal because he did this to Mason Rudolph. Well, hey, it is what it is, man. Let it be. They're both, I think they both forgotten about it. I think everybody's forgotten about it. And for anybody out there that's still upset, well, maybe Mason shouldn't be saying things he shouldn't. But that's just me. That's just me. And as far as Myles Garrett goes, he deserves that money. He came in number one overall in his draft class, and he has lived up to every expectation of that. So he deserves that money. He deserves all that. He deserves that 5-year, 125 million extension. So kudos to him, and wish him the best all the way up in Cleveland. And now we get to the big name, the Super Bowl MVP, Patrick Mahomes. He broke a record, man. It is essentially a 10-year to 12-year, $500 million contract. So let me put that in perspective. In 10 years, he's going to get paid a base, if when you look at it, $50 million a year. $50 million a year. Now, I've always said players deserve to get paid, what they play. So for me, It's going to be his fourth year. He's already won an MVP and a Super Bowl. That's the value of Patrick Mahomes. And I know couldn't the Chiefs have waited? Absolutely not. They could have not waited because only due to the fact that if he kept doing the things he did, his price tag was only going to go up and he was going to get more expensive and it was going to just be crazy numbers to the point where nobody knows what his cap would be. So 10 years, $500 million. I think that's incredible. I think that is crazy. When I first saw that, I didn't know what to think of it. I was shocked. I was surprised. And there's no arguments here. He is the best quarterback in the NFL. It's very hard to dispute that now, only due to the fact of not because of his contract, but what he's been able to do. MVP, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP in 3 years. That's incredible. So, you know, he deserves the money. He deserves every penny he gets, and hopefully he keeps wowing us with his athletic ability and his crazy throws. So we'll see. And lastly, I do have a new list coming out. Me and my buddy, we were talking about quarterbacks in the league, and what makes a top 10 quarterback. And he gave me a list that just kind of blew my mind. I'm not gonna say his list because I don't want you to kill the man. I don't want you to. All I can tell you is he kind of believes that Big Ben is better than Russell Wilson. That's as far as I'm going with that list. I'm not going to say any names, but that's just kind of what he believes. And it's just crazy to think that. But to me, I do have a list coming out, and it is the top 32 quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks. So you're going to be, there's going to be a starter quarterback list, and there's only 32 teams. So every day, well, today I'm going to give out 4, and then Monday through the rest, I'm going to give out 4 each night. And, we're just going to get started, right away. So here we go. At 32, it's Joe Burrow. Look, he's a rookie. He's going to start. Ryan Finley's not going to start. You drafted him number 1. Let's see what he's got. It's as easy as that. Look, you got a veteran in AJ Green. Your offensive line, we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a rebuild, and we're going to see how he handles the pressure. In any other draft, if Tua was healthy, Tua would have been number 1. He wasn't healthy. That's the unfortunate part. So 32 is Joe Burrow. That's all I can really say. 31, Mitchell Trubisky. Look, you drafted him number 2. And, any Bear fans watching this, I'm sure you're kicking yourself because you had a chance to take. Not only did you take him at 2, you actually traded up from number 3 to go to the number 2 spot to take this man. And he hasn't really shown anything. Like, even his best year last year was kind of like a fluke. You know what I mean? Like, a couple seasons ago, when they did go to the playoffs, it was sort of like a fluke. So, Mitchell's got a lot to prove. And he will start. It's just, I think down the road, Nick Foles is going to start somewhere, and maybe the team will do better with Nick. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Coming in at number 30, Dwayne Haskins of the Washington football team. It's kind of weird because he didn't get the start, but when he did start, there was really no help for him at all. It's going to keep rebuilding, but I think he showed enough promise to where they're going to keep giving him a bunch of chances. And now with Ron Rivera coming in, hopefully this kind of changes the demeanor around the locker room, and hopefully he just gets better. And we'll see what happens. This is going to be a big year for Dwayne Haskins under year 2. Number 29, I got Gardner Minshew of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Gardner Minshew, or Minshew mania, as people call it. It was kind of catching on, but then he kind of fell off. But then his last, 3 games, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and hopefully he keeps this up. I mean, he was overall statistically the better rookie quarterback last year. So only time will tell. Only time will tell to see what's up in Jacksonville. Hopefully, the weapons are better, the line gets better, and hopefully that offense steps up under year 2 under Gardner Minshew. It's his team now. As I mentioned, Nick Foles got traded from Jacksonville to the Bears. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this goes, and hopefully they get better. So, those are the first four. As I mentioned, Monday, I'll give out another four. And then, every day it'll be a 4-player episode. And hopefully you guys tune in for that. And hopefully you guys give me some grief on why your guy should be ranked higher than this guy. But other than that, that'll do it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank everybody leaving me comments here. And Dwayne Haskins better than Daniel Jones. That's going to be yet to see. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen there, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But right now, I have Dwayne Haskins at 30. It's just there's nothing that was good to look at. So we'll see how it goes from here on out. Other than that, I have nothing here. Do we have anything on there? Nope. All right. That's going to do it for us tonight, guys. Thank you for tuning in so late. And we will catch you guys on Monday.